You'll remember my Warhammer Dwarf versus Lord of the Rings Dwarf video and how everyone enjoyed it and supported my verdict on it? No? Me neither. So now it's time to try my luck again and stoke the fanboy flames by pitting two more iconic and similar fantasy races against each other. Not only warrior versus warrior or army versus army, in this video we'll see who will win a full-scale invasion into each other's homelands. Athelloren versus Mirkwood, Warhammer Wood Elves against Lord of the Rings Wood Elves. As my Versus series go, there will be a number of categories before the verdict. And for this episode, there are going to be 3 categories for each faction. And I will award the edge to whoever I believe is better. The categories are military, environment, and leaders. Now there's an apparent underdog in this fight. Let's see if they have a shot. When it comes to the military, the Warhammer Elves, Wood Elves have no shortage of specialized infantry roles when it comes to ranged, melee, and cavalry. Not to mention the monstrous treemen, eagles, and forest dragons that can populate their ranks. Their potent abilities using spellcraft make them deadly on the field of battle as well. These armies excel in hit-and-run tactics and belong to multiple kindreds. This is not saying they cannot hold their own in pitched open battle, though it would seem their preference pushes them to a fighting style molded by their home of Athelloren. In contrast, the Lord of the Rings or Sylvan Elves have a more unified and disciplined force, one that can work equally in open field and in their home of Mirkwood, although they have less options when it comes to the variety and types of warriors they can field. They still have access to advanced archers, swordsmen, and cavalry. They do lack the power of potent magic and huge creatures to fight alongside them, but their physical and nimble prowess more than makes up for this, as one can easily defeat a creature at least 10 times his own size, demonstrated by Legolas killing an Oliphant and its crew. The edge slightly goes to the Sylvan Elves, as their professionalism and mighty feats of almost superhuman speed, balance, and strength can more than contend with not only the Warhammer Wood Elves, but the creatures that fight alongside them. They only get the slight edge because they really don't have anything that can contend with magic that the Warhammer Wood Elves can muster. When it comes to the environment, the Warhammer Wood Elves have almost a symbiotic relationship with the forest that they live in. Not only does this forest provide unfathomable amounts of magic to the Warhammer Wood Elves reserves, but the spirits and living trees and creatures of the forest come to the Warhammer Wood Elves' aid to defend the forest. This place is extremely hostile to any other matter of life in the old world, and the same would go for the Sylvan Elves. Mirkwood, or Greenwood the Great as it used to be called, is home to the Sylvan Elves, and it is an ancient forest, one that used to be favorable to them, but the power and darkness of Sauron fell upon it, and the forest became a haunted place. It was renamed Mirkwood and became a home to evil and corrupted beings and creatures. A forest no longer in full control of the Wood Elves, the Lord of the Rings Wood Elves, and more a place of constant survival against Sauron's minions. The edge fully goes to the Warhammer Elves' home of Athelloren. Any invading Sylvan Elf army would have to contend with not only the Warhammer Wood Elves, but the forest itself, while an invasion from the Warhammer Wood Elves into Mirkwood would have them face evil creatures they no doubt could dispatch rather easily, but these creatures in woods would provide the Sylvan Elves no bonuses or protection. Lastly, the Warhammer Wood Elves not only have Ariel and Durthu, who are powerful magic casters and creatures in their own right, but the most ferocious of leaders that will come to lead the Wood Elves, the Warhammer Wood Elves, and defend the forest in their time of need has such savage power that no Sylvan Elf in Lord of the Rings has ever had to contend with something like this. Orion comes, the king of Athelloren, and within him is all the ferocity and anger of the forest. Calling the Wild Hunt will most certainly mean the doom of any who try to invade the forest. In stark contrast, the leader of the Sylvan Elves, Thranduil, has no magic or ferocious strength. He is a charismatic and influential leader in Middle-earth, not to mention a master swordsman and archer, but the edge wholeheartedly goes to the Warhammer Wood Elves. It's completely obvious which leader has more power and means the most to their people, and even cutting all that out, Thranduil isn't even a military genius, as he let his people get surrounded, his army get surrounded by orcs and almost completely destroyed at the Battle of Five Armies. And that's not even to mention going to war over jewels in the first place. The winner of this head-to-head clash is the Warhammer Wood Elves. In all sincerity, it's tough to pit anything from Lord of the Rings against anything from Warhammer because of Warhammer's sheer overpowered characters and factions. Not to mention the amount of information and details we have when it comes to Warhammer in comparison to what we have from Lord of the Rings, aside from going off the movies. Even with the Sylvan Elves' slight superiority to the Warhammer Wood Elves' armies and organization, a prolonged war would see no victory for the Sylvan Elves, as I think they can't take Athelorn at all, and even on the slight chance they took Athelorn, they certainly wouldn't be able to hold it. Defeating Orion and the other demigodish Warhammer Wood Elf leaders is a feat we haven't seen any Sylvan Elf perform yet. While I believe that the Warhammer Wood Elves can take Mirkwood even without the help of Athelorn, it would be a bloody campaign, and I don't know what they would have to gain, seeing as how the forest will always belong to Sauron. Thanks for watching. Let's see if we can get over 100 likes on this video, and let me know in the comment section below any more versus battle ideas. I'm open to all suggestions. Also, I would love to pit the Warhammer Wood Elves against Warcraft, so look out for that video in the future.